is an analysis of the media. This is from KBZ, K Bozeman Mountain News, Montana Mountain News. And so I was just kind of looking at the different, comparing Cincinnati actually with Montana. So this is Montana News. You have a Gallatin County sheriff case, but he closes a book on a cold case murder, which is actually one of the darker.
This whole morning, nearly 28 years ago, 15-year-old Danny Hutchins was raped and murdered at a fishing access in Belgrade. And today, we learned the cold case has been solved. MTN's Cassidy Powers was at a news conference.
We'll come right back to this, but this is how little violence has been happening, that they figured out a cold case from what would they say, 30 years ago? And then I'm looking on the side here, and you got mother caught on a hospital, camera poisoning son to death, welfare check turns into a murder investigation, manhunt for cop killer Christopher Dorner, FBI. Let's see. Let's take a look at this. Arrest made in a fatal shooting of a 29-year-old woman. That's Cincinnati. Let's go from right to left, okay? Here is family devastated after dog dies from brutal attack at off-leash park in Bozeman.
But just a few weeks ago, one family had to say goodbye to their pup after it was brutally attacked right here at the Gallatin County Regional Dog Park.
Oh, are you the cutest girl? Hey, princess.
They were confident that she was going to make it through. All of her wounds were very clean, that they took her home. And then an hour later, she passed away on the couch next to my dad.
Lacey Johnson is a sixth-generation Montanan and an animal lover. She tells me about 4 years ago, she helped her dad pick out a dog.
She was an accidental litter, and we actually went originally to pick up her sister, but Junebug chose us.
Junebug was her name, a toy Aussie.
My dad loved that little dog, and I always joke that he loved that dog more than his children.
Lacey tells me Junebug loved to swim.
All right, another one.
So her father began bringing her to Gallatin County Regional Dog Park, where she could play in the water leash-free. But on August 2nd, Junebug's favorite hobby became a dog owner's worst nightmare.
Junebug was standing with my dad waiting for him to throw the toy, and they just, I guess, started attacking her.
Lacey tells me 2 dogs tag-teamed Junebug and her father.
At one point, the dog had her by the stomach and was like shaking her around like a toy. My dad was screaming at the owner to get his dogs.
But Lacey says by the time the owner got his dogs and left without a word, the damage was already done.
Junebug was bit on the hip, on the shoulder, and had a really nasty stomach incision.
At the vet, things looked hopeful at first. But after 4 days of trying to treat infections, Junebug passed away at home next to her dad.
How are your parents doing?
They're traumatized, and they're going to always have that in the back of their mind. It's going to scar them for the rest of their life.
Yeah, that fucking dog owner's a piece of shit, and the vet bill, they should pay for the vet bill. So that's a terrible tragedy, but we're just talking about dogs, right? We're not talking about people getting hurt. Here's another one. Search for a missing dog. This one is...
It's been 25 days since a Bozeman family's beloved dog, Pie, went missing.
It's heartbreaking,
now,
too.
The whole community has come together to bring Pie home.
It's exciting. It's just a relief to get new sightings.
Allison Totten has lived in Bozeman for over 30 years. She got a second Bernese Mountain Dog in July, as she has a deep love for the breed.
She was sweet.
Pie's owners have been posting updates on Facebook.
It's the tracking, but then the capture.
In great distances for original.
Here's a map of all the places where this dog has gone. So they are looking for Pie. And really, she should go, whenever there's a sighting, they should go and check it out. She should go there. They said, we don't know how to catch the Pie because, you know, the mama needs to be there. And so she doesn't know how to catch Pie. Pie has gone all over the place. Look at this. This is incredible. So because the woman, she said she got the tracking device the day after the dog had run away. So she wants the dog back, but the dog is just roaming free all over the place, and it's just been hard for them to catch it. But the whole town is part of this thing, and apparently it's gone viral.
The location started near South Tracy Street on July 20th, and now she was last spotted on Thyssen Road, an almost 22-mile difference. One woman on Facebook comments she even spotted Pie on her Ring camera. Ponton says it's the summer of Pie.
But I can't go to the very dark places. I have to stay positive.
The search for Pie has been long.
And it is like looking for a needle in a haystack. And as I said earlier, it's one thing to find her, it's just another thing how we're going to get her.
So that's a nice heartwarming story, right? So nothing. Here's another one. Magic mushrooms were allegedly found after the Bozeman police chased landman in jail. Landman.
Police found a nearly full gallon-sized bag of psilocybin mushrooms, more commonly known as magic mushrooms. Allegedly, Estep was also suspected to be under the influence of drugs and was taken into custody. According to court documents, police later got a search warrant for Estep's car, where they found a total of 221.5 grams of psilocybin mushrooms, 68 capsules that tested positive for LSD, and 40 milliliters of other liquid drugs. Jacob Estep was seen in court Monday morning. His bail set at $75,000. This case made me wonder how often people are driving under the influence of psychedelic drugs. So I did some research. According to a study from the National Institutes of Health, in the U.S., almost 2.5% of the population use hallucinogenics, and around 9% of these users reportedly drive under the influence of hallucinogenics.
So this is Colorado magic mushrooms. It's the only place I know where magic mushrooms is actually legal is Colorado. So the guy is clearly buying it, you know. I'm thinking he's bought it from Colorado and he's distributing it, and he's also getting LSD. Where the hell do you get LSD these days and other liquid drugs? So one guy had, you know, a stash of like very particular drugs. Here's another one. Breaking down the cost for local law enforcement. So you had Donald Trump goes to Bozeman and they're saying, well, how much did it cost the police in order to protect him?
I have a duty to make sure that these things are safe, and that is something that I take very seriously, and it's also something that I recognize costs money.
I spoke to Sheriff Dan Springer about the money the Sheriff's Office spent during the Trump rally. The Gallatin County Sheriff's Office reported spending $23,170 on the Trump rally. So I asked Sheriff Springer where that money came from. He tells me overtime budgets.
So we kind of have a good indication of what it is that we need in our overtime budgets, whether it's fairs, rodeos, homicides, searches, fires, all those things occur every year, and you can't really predict, you know, which ones you're going to have that year or not going to have.
So just a bunch of heartwarming stories. Here's another one, the role of detention officers. So she's going to talk about an inmate who had actually ran away. And then that's why we really need our jailers.
An inmate was seen last week in Gallatin County Justice Court for allegedly attempting to escape the Gallatin County Detention Center. We're checking in with the individuals who help keep this place secure.
We're always on a heightened awareness for attacks, absolutely. Unfortunately, that's part of our job, but they do not happen often.
Lieutenant Sean Fleeman has been working in corrections for over 25 years. 12 of them spent at the Gallatin County Detention Center.
The role of a detention officer is to primarily take care of the inmates' medical.
Okay, so they just said they mentioned somebody running away, so that was the more important story. But I'm looking at this. What's next for the Bear Cubs orphan? Bozeman's State of Play offers unique educational environment. It's No Bull. Texas Longhorn visits new downtown Bozeman bar, whimsical fairy houses of Bumblewood Thicket. Top stories. Gardener deli owner talks about the importance of tourism. Labor Day weekend weather. Montana's state solution to parking problems. God, sounds like a dream. Montana sounds like an absolute dream environment. Frost and hard freeze possible. This week, I guess this week in fish and wildlife. The freeze is going to come shortly. I've heard at the end of this month. Inmate pleads not guilty to attempted sexual assault against correction officers. Bozeman Airport expansion to be the largest. Black Bear and her cubs wander. Honor ride pays tribute to fallen officers. Big donation puts Gallatin College closer to joining Montana State campus. Bear activity. Bozeman share ideas for the zoning change. Zoning. We're even talking about zoning laws. That's amazing. That's incredible. This is so exciting. Now, let's talk about what's going on in Cincinnati. A mother of a 2-year-old child who overdosed on drugs was sentenced to probation. Okay, that sounds like a slap on the wrist.
A couple who pleaded guilty to exposing their toddler to drugs. Their 2-year-old little boy had to be rushed to the hospital after ingesting cocaine and marijuana back in May. 23-year-old Ashley Lelesh was sentenced to 3 years probation. The judge also granting her request to get substance abuse treatment. Ashley and her husband Travis both pleaded guilty to child endangerment last month. He was also sentenced to 3 years probation.
So that's pretty incredible, right? So when I look at WLW2, which is a Cincinnati channel, here's a bunch of stuff from Jerry Springer, but just the recent things, right? We have the NHL player was killed. Trooper rescues injured kitten. Okay, that's a nice feel-good story. NHL star brother dies in a bike crash. ATF is looking for 100 stolen guns. Video shows beating with baseball bats. Driving force for good. Bearcats emerge victorious. So some of these sports things are fun. Cincinnati police asking for help in locating a 13-year-old girl who went missing on her walk to school. Arrest was made in a fatal shooting of 29-year-old woman. Middletown man arrested for the 6th time while impaired. Let's see. So the football stories are exciting. Sailplane crashed in Warren County, leaving one pilot. It's like it all seems like it's violent or blood or there's a whole bunch of just fucked up shit. So Cincinnati's got a lot of messed up shit. So when it comes to, let's watch this arrest.
After a deadly shooting in Avondale, tonight we have new details about the suspect and the person killed. All of this happening on Reading Road near Hutchins Avenue back in July. Police say 2 women were shot. One of the victims survived. 29-year-old Namaya Norton was killed. This week, Cincinnati police arrested 23-year-old Akira Fletcher. She's charged with murder, aggravated murder, and felonious assault.
So you have Gallatin County Sheriff closes the book on a cold case murder.
Sheriff announced the name of the killer and how, after so many years, there's finally justice for Danny's family.
This is 28-year cold case.
Thursday, the sheriff's office announced who killed Danielle Houchins, the 15-year-old girl who was raped and murdered right here at Cameron Bridge nearly 28 years ago. And although we now know the killer, we still may never know what prompted him to kill an innocent girl.
After nearly 28 years without answers, without justice, we celebrate today.
September 21st, 1996, 15-year-old Danielle Houchins left her home in Belgrade and drove out, was married, and worked for the Bureau of Land Management for 22 years. Hutchinson had 2 kids, a daughter around the age of 20 and a younger son. Springer says Hutchinson was a graduate student at Montana State and had only been in the area a short period at the time of the murder.
This appeared to be a crime of opportunity where an evil man took the life of an innocent and lovely 15-year-old girl.
So when I think about the internet, you have all these, crazy stories on the side there. You could really just stay in La La Land, with some of this crazy stuff. You have Russia, Ukraine, you got the monkeypox thing. I want to click at 3 killed in a small plane crash. Electricity shut off for homes. There's, let's click on one of these messed up stories, right? So you have, let's see here. What do we want to do? Man shot after argument at the packed bar in Forest Park. So if you click on this, right, so you're in Cincinnati and you think, well, that's an important story. If it bleeds, it leads. So they're going to have all these terrible stories. But then all these suggestions on the right says, well, if that's what you're into, the moment he realized he killed someone, 1 dead after car split in 2 crash. They respond to reports of a shooting at a bar in Forest Park. Rural Minnesota officers ambushed. Fort Wayne officer pulls woman from car. So Vegas sisters lured man for sex before robbing and killing him. I mean, you could really stay in just like kind of a demented land, just kind of a land where it's just nonstop, just craziness. But if you just take one of the news, Montana news, then you can actually have a lot of good hometown feel-good stories, right? Brewery, quarry, top stories, retired golfer, single-use plastic ballot initiative. We're talking about planning and zoning and initiatives. I mean, because there isn't all the craziness that's happening in Montana, you actually kind of get to talk about, a lot of the, I guess, not the major felonies. You get to kind of get to the nitty-gritty to some of the minor laws, some of the ones that aren't, in terms of the hierarchy of laws, these are like nothing, right? Wildlife education trainer, Mountain State students give praise to the retiring president, rural residents facing slow emergency response times. Let's see, host families needed, local theaters, art bring mental health awareness. Let's see what this is.
Now, in association with Suffer Out Loud and MSU Active Minds, Every Brilliant Thing is a play bringing awareness to mental illness and suicide. MTN's Heaven Band is speaking with the individuals bringing this story and message to life.
Every Brilliant Thing is a comedic play about depression and love, coming soon to the MSU campus.
I don't remember when exactly I had the idea for the list, but it was here.
It's a show that I think everybody needs to see. It's about a lot of difficult things, but beautiful things as well.
Producer of the show, Lila Michael, says the show concerns difficult topics like suicide. To help bring awareness to the topic, they partnered with Suffer Out Loud, a local nonprofit. Featuring a person who is faced with... They've been rehearsing for 8 months, diving deep. Buy tickets to Every Brilliant Thing. Visit our website.
It's a beautiful story, and I think any opportunity for people to organically come out and start conversations around mental health is huge, because it doesn't come up in our everyday conversations while we're at work or talking with our family.
It happens to all of us, and I think that's really true, and I think that's what's really...
I'm kind of curious about the population of Cincinnati versus the population of Montana. I know there's not many people in Montana, but with the news like this, it makes you want to live in Montana and not live in Cincinnati, to be honest with you. Because if you click on all the dark things and then the algorithms, thinks that's you're not looking for, your hometown news, but you're looking for, the dirt. But if you're clicking on planning and zoning and local theater art stuff, then we'll have to click on more theater arts things, and more planning and zoning things and more bears. Oh no, there's a bear. That's fun. That's exciting. That makes Montana just sound like a wonderland. Right now, Montana actually has a governor's race. Greg Gianforte, the governor, is running for re-election. I'm not sure who he's running against. But just a little media analysis there.